Good evening, lovely gentlemen and fine ladies. Good evening, Crypto Sniper here. Yes, checking in with you again on the wonderful world of crypto, yes. So saw a couple of things. It was a social media on everybody, how they were feeling with cryptos. And we got a whole bunch of folk that were bearish. And this time Tony Vase was bullish. And I'm here to tell you that in my view, we're about to run in the not too distant future, the 3K mark. I'm going to speculate on a couple of things actually. And I'll come back to this. So let's park that for a while. I'm just reading some headlines, just a bit of news, bit of headlines, checking things out, and I'm speculating. Control structures being what they are, crypto being slowly reined in by the lizard. I'm wondering how things end up. Now, a bit of history for you. So you see, in the oil markets, Rockefeller ended up dominating the entire US market, almost entirely everything. And the way it went was actually, many people don't realize that the history of oil, there was lots of small independent prospectors that had all found oil and were all prospecting and were making good money. And there was a bit, kind of like a gold rush. Everyone could get a shovel, everyone could pan for gold, anyone could strike it rich and, become an overnight millionaire sensation and be a dandy. And oil was exactly like that too. And there were people all over the shop running wells in various areas, laying claims, jumping claims, and there was all sorts of rules. And then the Rockefellers came along. And Rockefeller teamed up with Rothschild Transport, got himself a little deal that saw him be able to transport his oil a whole bunch cheaper. Initially, he wasn't in the oil direct business. He was in refining. And slowly started upwards, going up the chain and grabbing claims. And he negotiated an incredible price with transport company that he parked his factory very, very close to his refining factory so that he could get real cheap refining through his own abilities. By already being in the refining business, he could cross-subsidize and he could get the cheapest transport with a sweetheart deal that he obviously signed in blood with the Rothschild money and transport people. And in the end, he was able to crash the oil price and flood the market and buy everyone else out. So hoods could shake him out. He had people thrown off their land. He went around offering terrible offers and people held out until eventually everybody was squeezed out and he got to pick up all their concessions for penny in the pound and then wait for it. Oil's price was allowed to rise again. And that was essentially cartel-based monopolist behavior. Somebody through a variety of related business areas in the whole oil sphere ended up benefiting from essentially getting a super low price so that he could squeeze everybody else out. Now, you might say that's smart and it's good business and, good on him. But at the moment, I have a suspicion that the same old model is rinsing and repeating again. That's right. So just in case you think I'm looking a bit shifty out the left of my eye there, I've got my new screen here and I'm checking out the YouTube live and I'm looking at another screen where I'm bringing in some news. So let's bring it to present. What's happening in the crypto realm? Well, a couple of headlines for you. Battered Bitcoin miners may start shutting down. That's from your mainstream media special Bloomberg. Bitcoin miners shutting down worldwide. Bitmain in trouble. Bitmain bleeds further as it shuts down the company's Israel sites. How to power off, reboot, or restart the miner, Bitmain. All of these things. Bitcoin price slump forces Bitmain to shut down in large geographic areas. This is just ongoing and ongoing. And essentially what's actually happening is the current price versus the current power is no longer become that economically viable in very many geographic locations. And what actually this means, and hello to Path, hi to Sunset Sailor, Johnny Turbo, Phil, great to see you again. Dahil, Robert Harrison, Ghost, you're enjoying the Go Lives. Thank you for saying so. Anyway, so what's happening now, in my take, is this is how the control structure seizes control. Essentially, you had all the small miners, we'll look back as sweet and charming. You remember that days when Joe Schmo had his laptop and he had a couple of PCs under his table and he was mining Bitcoin in 2011 and then he made a bit of money and he actually put some in his garage and how silly is that? Yeah, he was like a miner, like just the one guy, at his house, that's going to be like sweet and quaint. Then you get the conglomerations and other different reasons and people parking by water, hydroelectric cheap power and all of this and, forming pools. And then you get all of these guys cleared out. And the question becomes centralization. This is supposed to be a decentralized network. It's supposed to be decentralized. It's supposed to be that you have so many pieces in so many different places, it's impossible for a bad actor, listen to this carefully, a bad actor to actually own the network and to enact skullduggery. And now we're seeing not only the small operators that are in mining, but the conglomerated operators, the big pools, everything. All these guys are getting squeezed. Not that long ago, I had some Russian guy on an advert every time telling me, come and be part of our Bitcoin mining pool, rah, rah, rah. And for whatever reason, I always just stood back from mining. I couldn't find myself to invest in it, didn't think it had long life. And the problem with anything is when you have volatility of price, the way the control structure always gets you is by introducing volatility. High volatility means they can create a pump, get everyone sucked in, and then smash it, dump it, and pick up all the chips from the people for pennies in the pound. And they can rinse and repeat this routine ad nauseum, and it's been done countlessly times, which is why I spoke of being able to control the price as a refiner, getting hold of the transport, being right by the rails, squeezing it, getting the transport to put up prices for everybody else so that they couldn't make profits while you were still making profits. Basically form a mafia and a cartel that squeezed everybody else so that you owned the industry. Absolute monopolization and domination. And here we have something that relies on decentralization and being fragmented. No one person owns the whole chain. Everyone has a little piece of the riddle and it gets sewn together with a thread and that's your blockchain, but no one person owns that thread. And this is the thing. It's becoming such that I feel we're in that shakeout period. The truth is, miners should be going out of business and will continue to go out of business and for an extended period. And it's worse. I'm looking at my charts here. We've the whole community, we've just done a GoToMeeting live, but we were talking about it for the last day or so. We've been getting short. We've been shorting again on Ethereum and Bitcoin. Hey, we can be wrong as ever. We can get it wrong. But generally we keep trading in the same direction until that happens. We've had our setup and the target is below 3,000, guys. The target is below 3,000. If that materializes, and each time we get a setup, it's taking a new number. And when I look at the huge hyperbolic chart, and guys, I'm developing with this go live stuff, and I'm hoping in future to be able to do a screen share. But when you have a look at the long-term weekly hyperbolic Bitcoin chart, and you look at our amazing 6,000 setup that's spilled, do you ask yourself, is that really the low or the bottom, when I look at it in its true glory and I see how far it's come in how short a time, I find myself saying there's scope for this to go even further than this next target if it works. Not saying, once again, whenever we talk of certainty, you can be sure we failed to see the possibility of being wrong, but it's already broken strongly, and most of us are in small profit already with a big side, but big look to the downside still to come. So we're short. And what's going to happen to the miners if they're already going out of business now? What do they do? If they weren't making money at 3,600, 3,500, we've traded into the 3.3s with this break. What are they going to do when it's 2.9? What do they do when it's 2.9? And what do the miners do whose costs are higher than 3,500 the minute they get a Bitcoin? Well, they can't be just shelling out and hoping to hold Bitcoins, which keep falling, getting cheaper. They sell all the Bitcoins so that their cash burn is reduced. When you're making a loss, the job is to minimize the losses. And actually, the thing keeps going down. So where they might have just sold enough to cover their cost and hodled the rest, and they kept getting rewarded from that on the bull run, they're now in an automatically alternative, totally dichotomized situation where you need a rush to sell it while you still get the price you did your original calculation in, because it keeps bloody slipping and your electricity bill doesn't go down, your kit doesn't go down, the cooling, the heating, and all the costs, they don't go down. And it's now becoming, do I continue with this? And as they flush more of the small players out, what tends to happen is, who do you think steps in? Nameless big corporations with trusts that own them, that are in the Caymans, Belize, here, there, and everywhere. And there may be many of them, but you don't know which one stooge could be standing behind every single one of them. And this is the case I'm asking the question on. This is philosophical. Think of it as a philosophical discussion tonight. I don't know what's happening. I'm just sitting here and I'm speculating. And I'm seeing small players that were fragmented and clearly were not part of a cartel being sweated out of a market by, who knows? But maybe it's a cartel, because that's what happens in just about everything. The rats and mice get mopped up. You need to just think about the Lloyd's names in underwriting. You know, they're now a novelty and a rarity. The big corporations now do all the underwriting. It used to be a high net worth individual. You could actually be part of a Lloyd syndicate and be underwrite risk and get people's insurance premiums. That's right. That's how it used to work in Britain. They were all being squeezed out. So let's see what some of you think on this opening a gambit of mine. Only reason I'm still mining is because I use it to heat my house. Yep, that's pretty funny. That's awesome. It's funny that, because I distill all my water and I take all the crap out of it. And one of the things I love about it is in summer I have them outside, but now it's winter, I got them inside, and I'm warming the house by cleaning my water and getting the stuff out. So I kill two birds with one stone. Although in a politically correct world, we're no longer allowed to say, kill two birds with one stone. Can you believe it? In BBC, actually rephrased that. I think it is eat two scones or something like that. It's something pathetic. So the control over our language is continuing as well. But anyway, I digress slightly. So Pantera Capital is so wrecked, they're asking for refunds in 25% of their ICO investments. That's Declan Garrity. Nice to see you, Declan. Great, love your interactions on the premium community as well. Wow, Pantera, there you go. You guys have got more of the information than me. I mean, I'm checking out, I'm just watching and having a discussion on this, and the miners are being shaken out. And these were the original guys, you know, the free-thinking libertarians, the people that wanted their own money. And as I always say, they will never let you have your own money. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's a sad fact. I chuckle and I laugh, but actually it's a brutal and very sad fact. Someone's got a bazooka. I think, Phil, what can I kill with it? Well, maybe if, I wish some of this mining equipment could be used just for having an awesome PC. I think some of it is, but some of those graphic cards maybe have to take up gaming or something before you get a second use for them. I imagine that there's going to be a lot of eBay sales at some point. And you know what? When the last guys relent, and when the final strongest of the independents is bust and leaves, that is when the price will start to swing up again. Don't get me wrong, trading it short now, but long run, I can see cryptos is going to play a role in this global economy. This hasn't happened for nothing. The problem is people think it's independent free money, government free. Dark state governments, I talk about government and dark state as one, the intelligent community, your mafia ownership. And I'm afraid they've injected themselves in, and I suspect a shakeout in the mining industry. And just when you think it can't go lower, these guys will keep twisting that knife goddamn so deep that every man who's self-funding is actually just bleeding out all his goddamn money until they're happy, till they've literally crushed everyone. And then you will probably have centralized mining. They won't call it that. They'll still try and maintain the illusion. They appreciate that people that are suffering from Stockholm syndrome want you still to lie to them. So they will continue a lie so that there's a facade, like a facade. If you've ever seen one of those old-fashioned buildings where they just keep the front and then they've knocked the rest out and they're trying to build and it's been propped up at the back, they'll maintain a facade for those that are captive by Stockholm syndrome, so that they can still believe that it's decentralized. And you'll have your little NSA spiders running up and down that blockchain network, all controlled by one larger entity, and you'll be led to believe that everything you do on there is private and is safe, etc., etc. And the new money systems network has now been seized and fully taken control over. That is what I assess. Anyway, so we're looking to the short side. Shiva Verdun, true indeed, he says. Linda Adrid, yes, like a Hollywood set. Linda, that's a nice analogy. John Carlos, why so serious? I'm cackling, John. I'm cackling my way through it, because the thing is, when you're in a pit of lizards and snakes, they're going to do what lizards and snakes do, and history shows you what they do. So One Green Mitzi says, thank God for ASIC-free Monero. I fear for the security coins. I would love for the security coins to remain 100% secure and, not to be penetrated. I think that's one thing. If they are truly legit, the control structure is going to go after in a nasty, nasty way. Trading in Monero, they're going to make it hard. They're going to look for disclosure. You're going to get a tag put on you. I think, or Z, any of the ones that are security, I think they're going to try and nullify privacy. They think the whole notion is, they think, they say, what have you got to hide? And we say, what about our story do we not want to share with you? We don't need to share our story with you. It's not that we've got anything to hide. We just don't want you in the conversation. But they think it's their entitlement, and they're going to keep coming in because they are tax extractors. They want inside information. They want to know what you're thinking. They want your data. They want to sell products to you. They want to consume you. They want to cancel you out. They want to manage the herd. And managing the herd means feeding them hormones so that they grow fat and can be milked good and proper for a while. And then just when they start to get wise to the game, they get old and sick and they sign out and they leave some kids behind for the process to be rinsed and repeated. And ever wonder why all these guys, George Bush, the schmuck, he didn't strike me as a guy who did yoga, Pilates, and ate smoothies, but he lives till 94 before he croaks, and everyone else in America dies at 77. Anyone else wonder why the Queen Elizabeth and the flipping Duke, the vampire husband, is still alive? And all these lot all seem to live on 90s, and they don't seem to have a particular health kick. It's a little bit fascinating, and it's probably a question that wants answered. They want to twist the knife and they'll crash. So my view is, guys, if you're holding on We're going to be doing an amazing webinar in our premium. I shouldn't go too rhyme and verse on it, but we got one of our guys that came on in last year, exactly a year ago, was really busy with his business, proper entrepreneur. He's in Vegas and Korea, and he's going to share his take about how he went from being a crypto long only, the huge credibility gap and all the challenges, and we're going to actually be doing this webinar, to actually becoming a legit trader who trades long and short and can trade all markets and feels that whatever is going down, he can earn a living trading, bears, bulls, and it all, in FX, in equities. And he came as a crypto tech newbie, loved the new science of crypto, wanted to hold. And the key moment for him, he will attest, was when he, he just said, I'm taking a beating. Something's changed, something's gone on, sold all his shit coins, to use his phrase, not mine. And then he decided to get out of his Bitcoin as well. And then the minute he did that, he got his mental neutrality. He no longer was talking and trading his pocket through his pocket in his book. He no longer felt bad about shorting because he's actually wanting something to fail that he owns. He got square, he wasn't engaged, and then he was saying, right, made a 6-digit sum shorting just in one of his events of shorting crypto with us. And that's a massive delight for me, because that's someone who's transformed. I talk about trading being a personal development program where you actually go from somebody who is a believer. Belief is not a word I like anymore. I don't utilize it much. When I hear myself say it, I take it back. Belief means something that you've been injected with, something you accept which you haven't even been reasoned into. And it's a dangerous thing. And we are crypto believers, but that doesn't mean human aspects of boom and subsequent bust don't play a role. So I'm particularly proud of his development, and he's one of our stars on the platform, and he'll be doing sharing his experience for the others and what he found hard and all of that. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. And I'll be talking about the differences between trading crypto and other markets too, because actually, if you want to be long, crypto is not the market to be in and being long with. In fact, you need to be bear or square, as I've been saying for a while. So all crypto owners need to do January 3 proof of keys. That's an interesting comment. I think there's a story behind that. Some exchanges will be exposed. That's useful knowledge. That is 1/1024. That's something I need to find out a bit more about. So that's what I love about these things. You guys educate me. It physically can't go to zero. Supply and demand won't let it go to zero. So Sunset Sailor. Australian encryption laws and thoughts. I'm not familiar, Skynet, with it. Funny enough, I've got the T-shirt of Skynet, the black one with that same red logo. I think I recently gave it away. Like Francis said, the powers that be will twist the knife. Bitcoin going to zero. Yeah, I think it'll stop short of going to complete zero. It's going to play a role. It's definitely going to play a role. And it will come back strong potentially in time. But it's going to be a longer and a lot slower than people expect until it goes into its second phase mania. Think the NASDAQ. You know, how long did you have between 2000 and then 2008? Well, you had 8 years, and then you crashed again, and then you went to the lows of 09, which were even lower than, in many instances, the previous crash, and now you're at all-time highs again. Nice Luciferian, all-seeing eye on your shirt you got there. It does look Luciferian. In fact, it's Aztec and an eagle, by the way, so in case you were wondering if I'm switching to the dark side, there you go. There's the eagle. It's Aztecian. And it's it was bought in Mexico, hence the kind of South American feel on it. But yeah, what do you guys think the lows will be? Some guys are saying sub 1K. It will be a grim day, but you've got to remember we started 2017 below 1K. It's only going 1 year back. Cost averaging price is below 78.6 Fibbo. It'll probably drop to 88.6 Fibbo, but the market is already at no sell zone. No more shorting on derivatives. Just wait for the mega reversal. Hodl, says Mike Ledesma. Mike, yeah, it's good to have conflicting opinions. I think there's a chance we've got to set up now below 3K. We're trading it. We'll lose or win. We'll see. We got targets around 29.50, and then a bit of a rally. Whether it's no more shorts are going to make any money at all, I'm not sure. I think we need more of the miners to go bang, and this is one of the reasons why I started this discussion. They can take over the entire network if they can control. They don't even have to have 100% control. There can be a few independents, but the point is, if they bulk control it, they will in effect be the boss. People hoping for 1K are like the hopium of 100K in 2017. So one green Mitzi says it won't go 1K. Francis Chase Mayer on 3rd Jan wants everyone to take their crypto from exchanges. He believes exchanges are using people's crypto to make money for themselves. Trace Mayer says 3rd of Jan. Sounds interesting. I think the crypto exchanges are making plenty money as people trade. This is the one thing that I will say on this. So here's something you want to think about, and it's something that I'm thinking quite a bit about, is exchanges will potentially have less and less retail guys trading. Why? Because there's too many burnt backsides out there that were long onlys and have got absolutely killed. And if their accounts have gone from 100K accounts down to 2,500, 2.5K basically, these guys aren't going to earn the same amount of money that they had. Now, it's very difficult for any business to have a mega spike in growth, be under serious growth pains. Remember how long it was taking to open an account for newbies that were entering in the second half of 17, and they were putting you in queues and you can wait and don't expect your emails to be answered. They were staffing up, scaling up and everything. Then, boom, massive boom, and then smackdown bust. We're going to have exchanges that go down, potentially, because they're just not going to make it. And they're not making the same volume. Their clients are on 3 to 5, some 10% of what they had at their high water mark. And they've scaled up for a massive business. People don't cut fast enough. That's one of the biggest things. They don't see the change and they don't cut back fast enough. And you've got to cut your costs and the overhead. You've got to reduce your staff count for the number of people. So what ends up happening is you're going to face, and this is a warning for you to think of while you have money in crypto exchanges, you are going to face counterparty risk. Those guys stop making money. Your money pledged with them becomes at risk. Think MF Global. If that can happen in a brokering environment in America with as we were saying, the ex-CEO of Goldman Sachs, no surprises there, not even going to jail and actually living out of your funds, believe you me, some decentralized in the middle of some other part of the planet exchange, which of highly suspicious origin, can just as easily go down, taking your money with it. So as you make profits on the short side trading this, or as you've just got a decent amount, remember, play defense. There's a season for defense and there's a season for attack. And right now, a lot of people are way more vulnerable than they used to be. And I'm talking the exchanges, the miners, the whole shit show. And that means the control structure can come and pick things up for pennies in a pound after they've let them go bust. And they don't have to make you whole at all. And it could lose a lot of confidence in the space. Okay, what have we got here? Russell Luchman, everyone changed their Ethereum to XRP. A lot of people will learn the hard way not to be long in a bear market, says Bob. I think you're right, Bob. ETN is the best coin, says Stefan. Electronium, maybe. January 3rd, exchanges will be exposed. It will be day trader day. I wonder if they're going to be shooting people. Futures contracts was the death of decentralization. Yes, it's interesting. Joel mentions that. Joel Dockstacker, thank you for your comment, because I was going to actually mention that a little bit. You can start to control the price on the front end. The minute you can hypothecate, you can buy a whole chunk of Bitcoin. They might have been responsible for even pushing it up. No one was selling. The more they bought, the more people hodled, because the more there was incentive to hold. Why sell today for something that's going to be worth $1,000 more the next day? they can then get a fairly large amount, and then after a blow-off moment, they can do leverage selling into that. So you control the price on one end. You create a pump that gets a lot of momentum chasers in. The minute people see something going up, everybody charges like fish. And this is one of the first things we train out of you as part of our program, is you don't chase trades. You don't chase pumps. And you go, oh, but it's going up even more. When the volatility is expanding, you're too late. You need to be in before. And you'll note that the current Bitcoin sell-off, we were in before that because we have structure and a method. And it's similar on Ethereum and the others. In fact, that the whole asset class contracts. That's the other thing, understanding your God markets. Who's the bellwether that tells you whether it's in an expansive or a contraction phase? And largely, since December, January, we've been in a contraction phase, despite having a V-shaped bounce the first time, where everyone, the late bulls arrive and buy the damn dip. And then it stopped working so well, and then suddenly the message started to get home. But it takes a while for those belief systems. You know, I believe in fairy tales. I believe in Santa Claus. How can you tell me that? Everything I base my life around. You can't tell me that that's not going to happen. I've changed my life to do this. I've quit my job. I've started mining. I'm doing X, Y, Z. It's a heck of a thing to say, hey, it's gone up in vaporware for now. It overpumped, and it's going to have to dump for a while, and it's detoxing for quite a bit. I think the same will happen like after the last Bitcoin boom in 2012 or 15, a longer period of sideways movement. Patrick, I'm with you. I think that's a reasonable set of assumptions. Declan Garrity, the Trace Mayer day might cause a sell-off when people get scared seeing big wallets moving their crypto. It could, Declan. It could also just be one of the many scares that are supposed to happen in that past. I mean, how many times is the world supposed to have ended and all of that? Some people, I don't know the man himself, Trace Mayer. I'll have to look into that. So I don't have an opinion on either him, his integrity, or his quality of his information. But it's not really in the control structure's interest that all exchanges go down and they all get seen as fraudulent. Yes, we had Mt. Gox, we had 1, 2 here. You can be a bit unlucky and, you know, hey, it's not regulated. Demand regulation now. We need more people who've lost money, and then we can have these demands for regulation, sure. But eventually, if they want people to participate in the future, they don't want too many burnt hands, otherwise their plans get put on ice for a long time, because once bitten, twice shy. Alan R, yes, I just woke up to see that our bias was correct. Yes, man. Yes, man. We've been talking about that. So one of my premium guys popping on to say he's happy. He's just seen he's making money. John Wilson, Francis, I love your work. It's refreshingly honest. I hold an extra crypto concern. There will be no independent crypto able to be transacted on a compromised Chinese Israeli IT network. John, I think you're top bombing there. You're getting close to the big fears. That's a big point. Centralization. And the thing is, they'll always tell you, there'll always be someone to say, no, it's still fragmented. No, it's still this. They need everyone to get the right mood music. Even if you feel you're being lied to, it's nice that someone still comes out and soothes your fears. Those are never worry about the people that challenge you and are upfront and stand and say, hey, I'm different, you there, I'm here. Beware the one that comes to you as your friend to soothe and allay your fears. For they are the deceivers. They are the real deceivers. The people that are challenging and tough, and saying what they say, even if you don't want to hear it, they're probably just talking truth. And as long as they're consistent, you'll see that and you'll learn to respect them. How did you come about the 2950 targets? That's the same thing I came off with, the head and shoulders. Yeah, we used our method, Joel, and we did our draws, and 295 it is. By the way, the alts are going to probably get hit worse. Poor Bitcoin, Cash, ABC. I reckon whatever in percentage terms Bitcoin loses, Bitcoin, Cash, ABC is going to pick up an additional quarter on that, 25%. So we've got an inverted method set up for Bitcoin, Cash, ABC against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does what we expect it to do, it'll fall even further. It's not an easy one to short, but there are one or two places. BTC will be back. I think you're right. Green's in 99. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it will be back. I think it will be back, but it may take a little longer before it's done bottoming. And I think it may be a bit of a dull regain. There's a morning cycle. There's real basing out. There's low volatility. There's little moves up and then little take backs, churn. There's quite a bit that happens in the basing of a bottom. It's rare as these kind of markets going to give you a V-shaped recovery where you go from mega bear into mega bull again. It just doesn't happen. You've got all the stage cycles to go through. There's a lot of people that got properly burnt and they just don't return. Bear flag on the 1 hour. Let me just grab my chart up again. So looking at a few things, we had a small little rising wedge that was forming, and then I was expecting it to roll over, and it's done that. So the rising wedge was at about 3,360, and now it's fallen out of that, and it's 3,318. So it's nice to see green numbers at the P&L. And yeah, we're jumping in, and that's what we want for everyone. A nice little Christmas gift for the community as well. Got an awesome bunch of legit people that are just out to build their wealth through crypto and the other markets, and are expanding their capabilities, and I'm proud to have them. And I'd be delighted if they all get their targets as well. It's awesome when everybody makes money together, actually. And unfortunately, for the overall market, you're making money in an environment where most people are losing money, and that's what puts you in the category of the 9%. When everyone makes money and it's an expanding wall, it's the balloon is being inflated, everyone's sitting on it, is getting more real estate. But when you can be that guy that's actually going forward when it's contracting, when 90% are actually going down, that's when you're starting to. That's when you'll survive and you'll thrive in all markets, and that's a powerful thing. And method, mindset, and methodology really is the key one, and maturity. Hello, Francis. Thank you so much for bothering to inform us of this reality. I have questions. If we can trade and own Bitcoins, why would we need backed? Isn't that all fake Bitcoin being printed? I've gone on record on my suspicion on backed, and I was quite surprised to see about 3 weeks later, in fact, it was literally a week ago, in fact, a month or two later, Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert were talking about it. And he had, just when I was going on record with Backed, he had this guy saying how super awesome Backed is coming and how Bitcoin's going to start pumping again. And he was all rah, rah. And then next thing I saw, rehypothecation and all of the things that I was saying. When he was having this troll that was just how great that the institutions are coming in, and you're going to have these custodian services. We'll hold your Bitcoin for you, for just a small fee, and you can pledge and borrow against it. And, we're a reliable big name based on an exchange, ICE exchange. Yeah, of course, like hell we need your types in this town. But Max was quite happy to have the guy pumping the coins with all of this coming in. And he didn't ask the tough question, but then I saw his mood swapped a little bit. So I'm glad he gets there one way or the other. These guys are custodian services. This is, if you want to short sell something, they have custodian services where you can go pledge your shares for Barclays with something. Now that's a short worth taking, and I am short Barclays. And then you can go borrow that script and short it. This is all through custodian services. They're charging the one guy to hold a script for him and keep it safe. And, if we lend it out, you might get a little bit of the interest that we make on it. And then they charge you for borrowing it to short the share. So, nice business. And, when you have derivatives and you get one and you can lend out 100, who knows? So, all the same monkey tricks come back into town. PayPal today, MasterCard a few days ago filed for crypto patents too, says 50 KT. That's interesting. Yeah, they're all filing for patents. That's the big war. This is the land grab of the institutions and the corporations. They'll say, they'll go out for patents. This is then they own the rights. Apple and Samsung knock chunks out of each other claiming, we got that patent, you got that patent, you did that screen, therefore you've partially violated this, you owe us money. This is the big legal. This is a battle of lawyers. This is the great battle that makes lawyers money, and people try to claim IP, intellectual real estate. Hey, I'm okay with that. if someone's done something and owned it to a degree, but it gets taken to the nth degree. Now you're seeing all these money vendors, MasterCard, PayPal I'm suspicious of. I mean, we know who used to be there, the owners. They're not there anymore, but PayPal control structure crowd very much for me. How would you suggest that Americans go about shorting BTC? Use a VPN and your imagination, or is there another way? So definitely use a VPN if you can. Get family members in another address to open an account in their name. If you have a Scottish relative or something, and trade through their fund and trade through their name if you want. You can use Kraken if you're in America, and they will do. They'll even do leverage on Bitcoin. So go for Kraken if you're in the US. So I hope that helps. Yeah, I've got my Barclays is pretty much a permanent short. I've been holding it for absolute months. Thank you so much for addressing this issue. The Kaiser report is a true good source of info. Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, and they have a lot of good stuff on there. They have a lot of good stuff. I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking him. I think he gets guests on, and maybe it's tough to put everyone on the spot, and he wants crypto to go up. And then when he stops and thinks about it, he got to the right point in the end. And I'm glad he gave that airplay in the end, because he's got a much bigger reach than someone like me. So he came around. I think services like TransferWise will be in very high demand in the next years. I use TransferWise, got wages and contracts to pay to people significantly cheaper than getting gouged on your currency rates through your bank. While we're saying that, Bitcoin is dropping to 3314 at the moment, and heading for our second interim, which is 3247 for my guys that are in the list there. That'll mean something to you. Kraken for BTC and ETH, says Phil, who's in the States now at the moment. For all you US guys, he's one of our guys. Top man. He's helped me with a lot of stuff, and I'm really lucky with the clients I have. So he's saying, yeah, if you want to trade BTC and ETH, go for Kraken. You can also use Liquid Exchange in USA to shorten leverage. So Unknown Now says Liquid is good for you. Long-term ETN is good coin. This is Stefan Simeon. I think there's someone who's got a definite pump for ETN going on in the comments here. But hey, it takes all types. Thoughts on TRX long-term? So my crypto T, if people ask me on an individual coin, my answer is always going to be the same. So here's the thing. First of all, I'm not fundamentally extremely knowledgeable. You might know a lot more about your particular coin than I actually know about it. So I'll sooner tell you that. I watch money flows. I'm a price behavior specialist. I trade off charts. In other words, I see where the money is moving out of and where it's moving into. At the moment, there is largely money moving out of crypto. This is a deflating environment. To buy and invest now, almost any coin is unnaturally high risk in my view. In other words, there's going to be more pain and trauma for you than there's going to be gain. Now, I don't believe in pain and trauma. I believe in gain more than pain and trauma. So I know you know that, and I'm not being facetious if I say that. So I would not be a buyer now, but the time will come because a sale is coming. The January sales in cryptos are coming. I'm not saying it's going to be in January. I'm just talking about that event post-Christmas when everyone just beats the shit out of each other, pulling on a $1 T-shirt. I'm talking about that. You're going to have that moment. But the difference is you won't have to fight because there'll be nobody who will be buying. The whole supermarket will be empty. It'll be the uncoolest thing to do to go in there in January. Everybody's credit cards are spent. They maxed it out in December. You'll be the only guy shopping. The service assistants will be falling over you. That's when you know you're probably doing the right thing. You're the only guy in town. And someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "What you doing in here? Didn't you know this gig is up?" That's when you're probably getting your time right. Stefan Ledrumeau. Hi, Francis. What is this Illuminati eye on your T-shirt? I think I've handled that one, but it's a Mexican T-shirt. It is the eagle rather than an eye. There's also a human eye there as well, I think. I liked it because it's stretchy and it's blue, so it worked for me. But yeah, it does sit in the middle. It does look like I've got a wah. I do get that. I'll consider it a matter of wardrobe malfunction on my behalf. I will take a far more critical eye to anything that might be popping up, like an eye, for example, out the apex of my jacket. So yes, L1 broken on Kraken. We've made second interim. Getting a little bit of a snapback rally at the moment, so there might be a bit of tie in this, which is a big hammer on Bitfinex. It just traded 3-3. So round numbers, whole bunch of orders like that suddenly hit. So the few people that are smart enough to trade with pending orders, they'll often have them at round numbers. So 3-3's just traded on Bitfinex, and then you bounce. And you bounce straight back up to wherever it is now, 3357. So you get a quick $57 back up. So that's what we have. Did you see Robinhood opening savings and debt accounts? What do you think? I heard of Robinhood, and I hear it mentioned in the same voice as Revolut. You know, the ones that are going to serve, you know, where the banks are treating you like lepers because you deal in cryptos. There's certain countries actually where if you receive from a crypto exchange, any deposit, even a moderate one, let's just say 800 euros, gets deposited into your bank account from a crypto exchange, they actually close your account. So banks have been allergic. Why? Because they're petrified of their government control handlers reining them in. And they've probably been instructed to be like this. So what's actually happening is these service operators, like the likes of Revolut and Robinhood, are coming to fill that space. So the t-shirt is awesome. The eye feature just makes it better, says Antonio. Yes, indeed. It's Mexican. I love it. It's stretchy and cool. The artwork was nice. There are a few. I got 3, I think. I just said, yeah, I'll have that one, and that one. It was like looking at that. Yeah, I can't choose. I'll just take the lot. That's that t-shirt buying mania. Took a few others, yeah. BPI account. Portuguese banks are not good, says Antonio, for it. Yeah. So we've had a bit of a look one way, go the other way candle, smash up. But this is what happens on crypto. You get one that's like really allergic, like you just touched an electric fence, and it touches and it turns around and it spanks it back up. And then there's no follow through. It's just like a spike. And then it like takes it all back slowly. It just grinds, takes it all back, and then spills lower. So a little bit choppy there. Better part of trading now 3,368, and it bounced all the way up from 3,300 by the better part of, what was the high in that short little session? 3,400, $100, just like that. On Bitcoin. Yeah, so that P&L flicks and chases, no problem. Stops in, take profits in. I'm going to go sleep soon. It's late down here. I think I'm talking mainly to the American audience. It's still semi-decent time there. Yeah, the banks have too much dirt under the rug. Yeah, you got HSBC and yeah, a bit of whiplash, says Carl McPherson. Says, interesting. Did you see Robinhood open? Yeah, that was a follow-on from that. Jesuit takeover of USA. Yes, I think that's an interesting name. Do you foresee BTC going under 200 daily moving average in December 2018? Now, I will say, my Jesuit friends, that I'm not a big user of moving averages. So some people say things like, hey, it's bounced off the moving average. I'm just like, no, it didn't. It just looks like it did to you, because there's a line that is intrinsically tied to the price line that through variance of mathematics you're going to bump into every now and then. And if you're bumping into it often enough, sometimes breaking it to the upside, sometimes to the downside, and sometimes just coming to it and then reversing, you're going to have a certain number of events that will look like you bounced on it. There isn't somebody who's adjusting his price with the moving average and being a buyer at the moving average, because it's changing all the time. So I'm not a moving average fan. And I know there's a lot of people that will talk, oh, I use a exponential moving average because it's better than the smooth, the simple moving average, and I go for a 21-day over a 17-day, and I also use the 7-day, and when those two cross, it's all in it's a belief system. It's all in the mind's eye. Moving averages never made me a better trader. I tried them, I used them, and then I thought, what is the basis of this? I started questioning it. Method involves patterns, targets, stops, and understanding volatility is a key thing. That's one of our key focuses. You trade a squeeze, that means you get a tight stop and you get an expansive move. That's the financial mathematics. You want that for risk and you want that for gain, as opposed to that for risk and that for gain. And what you end up getting is that for risk and that for gain, because you panic and snatch the first time you're in profit, and that's psychology. So we focus on that, and there's no space for moving averages for me. So I'm the last guy you should ask about moving averages. I'm sorry if that disappoints. Sometimes you're like, hey, I wanted to ask, I was interested in your opinion. You're such a cool guy and you've ruined my day. I know that. I know you might be feeling that, but ask your question. What am I actually trading? It's like a 4x4 towing a dead pig behind it. If I draw a straight line from the tow bar, every now and then that dead pig is going to cross exactly behind. Even if I'm swerving loads on a muddy field and it's swinging high and wide, the reason it's going to cross directly behind me every now and then, and occasionally if I stop swerving around, actually be right behind me, is by virtue of the rope. And the mathematics is the rope on a moving average. The tail does not wag the dog. You've defined it by mathematics, so it's following you. Ireland here. Yes, come on, the Irish. Well done with a match against New Zealand. Wow, cracker. Enjoyed it, and it was great play. Love the men in green. Nice one. Getting late. It should be getting late there for you, mate. It's late for me, and I'm 2+ on you. Thank you for your contribution to the trading world. Your older videos are extremely useful and insightful. Absolute pleasure, Patrick. Glad they've kicked back for you. Lost 90%, sale, whatever it is, left to re-enter later, or just go down with a ship and buy with fiat eventually. Never go down with a ship. So I've had this with my partner. She just was clinging on to a lumen. It says, oh, I'll just sit it out, it'll turn. I just forced her to sell it. Said, you do it, or I'm jumping onto your platform in Jan. Because the key thing is the pattern that you set in your mind. Capital preservation. If it's going to keep going lower, get out now. You always think, oh, but it's too late. It'll be back around. You don't know how long the fall is. It's like jumping into a dark hole. How deep is that well? Are you actually going to fall for 3 meters and land in a nice puddle, or are you going to hurtle down for 35 meters and end in some dry rocks and smashed into pieces? The truth is, you don't know. You've always got to behave in a manner that is capital preservation, because that means you get to fight another day. Sometimes if there's a bigger, fresher man than you, the best thing to do is to run. Keep your sword and run. Come and ambush him with your bow and arrow while he's sleeping as he wakes up in the morning. Another time. Get the circumstances in your favor. Survive another day. Don't just, oh, what the hell, we're just going to stick to our guns and go down fighting. That's resources that won't be available tomorrow. If you're caught in a bad situation, get out. Don't say, I'll wait till the situation changes, because it might not change for a long, long time. Ask yourself, how far down is $20,000 to $3,440? Guess what? If you had that attitude, you've allowed 66%, what's it? No, even more, 17,000 of your money to go. You've got to halve that. You're looking at about 90, going on 85% of your money to wash out on Bitcoin. And it isn't necessarily over. Yeah, Stefan, not comfortable with moving averages. I'm glad for you. Your instincts are right. Thank you for answering the question on 200-day MA. I understand your logic. You have been consistent on identifying this market as bearish, contrary to popular belief. Yeah, you get a lot of chop on moving averages. And the thing is, you can't optimize them. What's the right one to have? You change it for your history, and the market conditions change. So it was calm, and a 7-day was good, and then it gets volatile, and now you need a much longer one because you're getting chopped in and out and so many whipsaws. Ian Dandu, best advice when you're actually being in these situations, HVF method for the win. Yeah, it works for us, doesn't it, Ian? It's good to see you. How's New York? Lovely meeting you when we saw your consensus. It was great stuff. Glad to have you on board. Yeah, guys, I'm going to call it quits. I've seen you later. Just was trying something a little bit different. I've got some new kit. Hopefully we'll be able to do these. I'll do some share screen occasionally. But yeah, for the real detail, come and just join our community if it suits. If it suits and if it's what you want to do. Trading is hard. Trading is hard, let me tell you. Even with a method, even with lots of little edges, it's still hard. You will always lose right the way through your career. But it's what you make and keep in between those losses that determines how successful you are. Method, mindset, maturity, and you're going to be away. But it's a personal development program as well. You don't come out the other side the same person. You come out calmer and better. Guys improve their golf games by just learning to relax and breathe and understanding focus and accepting what is and what they can affect and acknowledging what they can't affect and just working with what they got. So I'm going to sign off. Good seeing you. Good evening, sleep well, trade small, don't chase trades, develop your own method. If you want to go your own way, it's good. I did it myself. It's not easy. Even trading with someone else's method is not easy, but this is the safest method I know. Be careful out there in crypto. It's still a bear, be bear or square. We'll see what happens with this trade. It can lose, so don't charge in here. It's quite late after a big sell-off in the 6,000, so we normally get a little bit of rallying. We haven't really had that, so it makes me a little bit nervous. It's not I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk, but we're short at the moment, and that's our bias. And until then, we speak to you and enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves, play safe, and watch out for those miners. It's going to be really interesting to track what's going on in the mining space. And look at who the actors are that are buying their kit up, or the people that are entering where they are stepping down. That's going to be very insightful. Try understand who's behind them. That could be the big, big question. Okay, without further ado, I wish you all well. And from the evil eye of the Aztecian eagle, I salute you and sleep well. Bye for now.